Yo, what's going on, y'all? Just made it back here in Dallas from an amazing opportunity, amazing trip over in Seattle. But as I was leaving, I immediately thought about you guys, and I thought about what is something that I could talk to you guys about this week. And I'm gonna be honest, this one is real simple. It's called "Don't Go Broke Buying Too Much Gear."
Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. What? Here to show up and show out. Here to show up and show out. Yeah. Here to show
That's
up
right.
and show
Don't go broke buying too much gear. So, let's jump into it. So, it's a few things when I think about not going broke by buying too much gear. I myself used to buy everything, meaning I bought the cameras, I bought the lenses, I bought the lights, I bought the mics, I bought the, you name it, I had it. I have it. I would say I have it now for sure. And I think one of the misconceptions is definitely when you see people out here creating, you think that they own everything. But the truth of the matter is they don't. Most of the time, they don't own none of it. They may only own some of it. And so I will say that today, when we talk about not going broke by buying too much gear, we're going to talk about the main things that you should own. So first and foremost, I believe that every photographer, every videographer should definitely own their camera. You should own your camera, at least your main camera, the one that's going to make you money. You look at your camera like looking at your car, like looking at your house. It is a required necessity based on your living standards. Now, it doesn't need to be great, it doesn't need to be massive, it doesn't need to have all the latest tech, but it needs to be a camera that can get the job done, both photo and video, especially in the corporate space. Because there's always a moment in which they may say, hey, can I get a photo? Or hey, can I get a video? And you don't want to be stuck in the space of saying, my camera doesn't allow me to do that. Or it's not enough light for me to do that. That's not what you want, and that's not what the client wants to hear. So I believe you should always own a camera that's of good quality, that has enough specs that can handle photo and video. Now, the next thing that I believe that you should always own is a good microphone. Doesn't need to be a boom. It doesn't need to be a solid and a super strong lapel. I mean, it doesn't have to be as expensive as some that I have or that others have, but it needs to be solid enough to where you can get good audio. Prime example, all of my YouTube videos are created on the DJI mics. That's right. I don't use my Sennheisers. I don't boom anything. It's literally created on my DJI pocket, my pocket mic. So whether it's the DJI Mic 2s or the DJI Mic Mini, that's all I can use them for. But I also believe these are very good solid microphones, lapel mics for when you're doing an interview of some sort. Granted, I'm not a fan of them for interviews just because you can't really hide them as well. I also don't believe that they did a great job in mastering the actual lapel mic jack, because I think that you can hear a little bit more noise than you want to. But overall, it's a solid mic. So when we're looking at it, first and foremost, you should own your camera. You should own one good solid mic. Last thing I think you should definitely own is a good solid light. Yes, you should definitely own a solid light. Now, granted, there's going to be the other things that kind of comes with it. Of course, you're going to need to have a tripod. Of course, you're going to need to have a light stand to put the light on. But if you have at least those three things, a good solid light, and I mean, this needs to be at least 300 watts. I think 150 watts, I think 60 watts, those are great lights to have, but you're going to see your limitations start to happen very quickly. So I also have a rule that you buy once, not buy twice, because if you buy twice, that means you're doing something that's not nice, which is wasting money. And so in that, we want to make sure that when we're buying a light that's strong enough to, of course, handle most situations. For the longest, I ran with a 300 watt and it took care of just about everything I needed. I put a modifier on it, I put an umbrella on it, and I was able to get busy with it. Now, you can rent your modifiers for like 20, 30 bucks, so you don't need to buy those all the time. You can rent your bigger lights if you want to. If you have a bigger project, you're able to of course, rent bigger cameras if you need them. So in this particular situation, I'm going to give you a quick story. When I went to Seattle this past week, I brought pretty much 175 pounds worth of gear. That's right. One bag was 100 pounds. The second bag was 75 pounds. You guys are going to see that in the vlog that we actually release probably sometime next week. But what we do know is this. In doing that, that's because I own most of my gear because I've been doing this for a while. But I also knew that I didn't have enough time to rent stuff in Seattle based on when I was landing, based on when the stores open, based on when I needed to be on set. So I knew what I needed to bring. In understanding that though, there was some gear that I still rented before I left. Ta-da! That's right. I rented 2 pieces of gear, and I'm gonna tell you why I rented them. First gear that I've rented was a 35mm 1.2. I personally rented this lens because I wanted to try something different. I have a 35mm, but I'm not a huge fan of it. It's cool. It's the one that gets busy. It allows us. It's very small and compact. I didn't buy that lens to do what I was doing in Seattle. I bought that lens for for smaller projects, things that I could do here and there. But could it have worked? Yes. But for what I was doing, I wanted to rent the 35mm 1.2. Well, I think it's a 1.4. What is this? Let's see. Hold on. Dang, they stopped putting it on the camera? Oh, let me open it up. Duh. There it is. 35mm 1.4. Why I wanted the 1.4 over the 1.8. That 0.4 made a difference based on what I was shooting. When I added my light, I saw the bokeh change. I saw the sharpness. It took it up another notch. It gave me what I was looking for. The other thing that I rented was a R6 Mark II. Reason why I rented this camera is because I actually do not have a smaller body camera. I only have R5Cs and a C70. I sold my R5L. I also have the A7C, and I have a FX30. But I don't have just a good photo camera that's small, a small body. I can still get the job done with my R5C. However, my R5Cs were on gimbals and they were also already on sticks. So I wanted to have at least one dedicated camera to photo that I was able to get busy on and not having to switch things off, take monitors off or anything like that. But I was still able to get the shots very quickly. Now, hindsight, yes, I regret selling my R5. Won't talk about that right now. But what I will tell you is it's definitely on the books of purchasing. Why? Because I also believe that if you rent more than 3 times, you need to own it. So this was my second time renting it. Third time's a charm. Is going to be added to the cart, or we're going to get maybe a Sony. We don't know yet, but one of the two is going to be added to the bag, definitely just to have a good dedicated photo camera. But for right now, my R5Cs gets the job done when it comes to that. So when you think about this process of not going broke when you're buying and buying too much gear, we get in the habit of buying so many cameras. We get in the habit of buying so many lights. And I'm gonna be honest, you're not going to need that much stuff. You're not going to need a whole production van every single time. You're going to need maybe 2 to 3 lights on a set. Sometimes you get 4, depending on what you're doing, if you're having to shape a lot of light. But we also have God's green earth, so we can use the sun. We can use the light coming through the windows. We can use the light, the practical light, such as lamps and things of that nature, to add depth and feel. We're able to do that. And so I always encourage that as you're starting this business, as you're starting this journey, start by just having what you need. What you need is a camera, a light, and a mic. You'd be surprised how much work can get done. Now, there's always also this question of, hey, can I do this thing with a flash versus a consistent? I'll be honest, I'm always going to tell a photographer, definitely if they're thinking about getting into video, buy a consistent light and don't worry about flash. Why? Because consistent light is going to help you, of course, start the process of knowing how light works. Also, it allows you to have versatility. If you don't have a budget to be able to buy a strobe and also a consistent light, you can still get a lot of work done just with that consistent light. So that's just the last bonus part of what I have to say there. Other than that, y'all, hey, that's my goal. I just wanted to help you guys understand that even for someone like myself who owns a lot of equipment, I do make a habit to rent as well, because I also want to make sure that I'm not overspending and I'm not over purchasing, but at the same breath, I'm also not getting out of control with having just a bunch of gear. And so, thank you, Tesla, for messing up the last part of this video. It's okay. It's okay. It keeps me safe. That's why you shouldn't be driving and talking at the same time. No, you should. Why? Because these are car chats. But, all right. Anywho, with that being said, the goal, though, in all of this is just to help you guys understand that you can have gear, but you don't need to have too much gear. Understanding what's the key essential gear that you need. Have a good camera. Have a good solid piece of glass, and of course, having a mic and having a good light will help get the job done quickly. That's all I got for you today. Peace.
Here to show up and show out. 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 Yeah. Here to show up.